Hello and welcome to today's Confessions of a Global Changemaker. My goodness, I'm bringing you the body whisperer today. Now, I've known Louise Shaw for, it's got to be at least 3-4 years, and I've watched this woman just totally cut through all the bullshit that people are telling their body, people are persuading their mind, and sometimes they don't even know that they're doing it and their body's reacting to it. So if you have any kind of pain in your body or you've been noticing some symptoms that are happening for you, let's get down and dirty with why that might be happening today. So we are with the Wonder Woman of Wow, Miss Louise Shaw. Welcome to today's show.
Thank you so much, Sammy, and it was an absolute delight to be here.
And you're wearing your one drop.
I am. Look at this. Absolutely.
Another one entrepreneur.
Absolutely. That's such a beautiful thing which you're starting there, Sammy. Amazing. Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Well, for those of you that are joining us today, if you have any questions about how the mind and the body are talking to each other and what might be happening in your body right now, well, you have about 35 to 40 minutes to learn everything you can about why that might be happening. So, Louise, you know, what was interesting was I saw you on stage at Destined for Bigger Things a few weeks ago, and we reconnected, and it was so lovely to see you. I haven't seen you for so long. And you were up on stage in your full, like, absolute magic. You know, this topic is magic for you, that you live, breathe, eat, sleep, walk and talk. And what I love is that you haven't just gone and read a textbook about it. The reason you know so much about the human body, the reason you know so much about depression, the reason you know so much about how the neurological connections to what's happening in your body and the pains that people are experiencing, the reason you know about that is because you've been through it. You walk the talk and you've got that experience. Now, you were going to have an operation and they were going to put you under the knife, and you chose to take an alternative route. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's when this first started.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sammy, I was living in the States, and one morning I woke up. I hadn't done any exercise to warrant this the day before, or had any trip or fall or anything like that. But I woke up in the morning and I couldn't walk, and I was in excruciating pain. And, you know, my model of the world and my model of reality at that point in time was, holy moly, something serious has happened. You know, something serious is going on if I can't walk, and I was in excruciating pain. Well, obviously, you know, the next couple of days I'm sort of trying to figure out what did I do, etc., because I believed that my body was this mechanical entity, that's if I was in pain, I must have done something to create this pain. Well, this sent me on a journey, so like 2.5 years. For 2.5 years, I was living on Vicodin, and if anybody's from the States, they know Vicodin's like a horse tranquilizer.
Oh, wow, really?
Oh God, it's so strong. So
what is it for? Is it a pain relief thing? Is it a like depression depressor or something? What is it actually?
It's a pain reliever. So I to be honest, I can't remember what it was, but I was being given Vicodin to numb the pain. But in numbing the pain, obviously I was walking around like a zombie, because this was really, really, really strong chemicals in my body. And, you know, one day I'd been to see, I was seeing a hypnotherapist at the time, because I was just struggling with all of this. And she's the most amazing woman, Linda Malastine in LA. And I said to Linda, I can't cope with this anymore. It was ruining my life. You know, I couldn't sit on the seat. I was lying on the floor. I couldn't concentrate. It was dreadful. Anyway, the point is, I'd been to see Linda after I'd been to see the specialists, and the specialists all said, I'd been to see chiropractors, I'd been to see a whole load of people. The specialist said that the only way I was ever going to walk properly again was to have the disc removed from my spine.
Bloody hell. Right, so let's just get this into context. And Simon, thank you. Hi, Simon. And those of you that are joining us now, do click on the link with this video so that we can see who you are. Otherwise, it just says Facebook user. Simon says, Hugh Laurie got addicted to it in House, which is the TV. I loved House. Oh, my God.
There you go.
The past. I used to love that. So, yeah. So here you are, and you're just living your life. and you haven't done anything, and you haven't fallen over, you can't think of anything, but you wake up one morning and you're finding it hard to walk. Now they want to put you under the knife to remove a disc in your back, and they're saying that that is the problem, is why you're in so much pain.
Yeah, but basically I had extreme sciatica. I had an 8mm herniated disc. So the disc was actually poking into the sciatic nerve.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was causing the pain all the way down my right side. Now, interestingly, if I just go back a little bit, this is really important, because this was what was the seed that was popped into my head to why I do what I do now. Because one of my friends actually sat me down one day and said, let me just figure out what's going on in your body. And I said, okay, well, do whatever you want to do. And she ran her hands down my body.
Fair, by that point, it's like, just do whatever.
Yeah, tell me to wear a pink tutu and run down the street, so long as it gets me back.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I was so good to go into a load, but she ran her hands down my body and she just went, tell me, Louise, where is it in your life that you don't feel supported? I went, what? What's this got to do with my back? And she goes, and she said, and also she said, I'm just picking up a lot about financial instability. You've got some financial issues going on. I went, yeah, okay, fine, lovely, thanks very much. I'll go and see a specialist. But actually, afterwards, when I sat back and thought about it, I just moved to the States. And I'd sold everything up in England. I was starting afresh. I didn't have a job. I only had some money in my bank. I was concerned financially about how things were going to pan out. I wasn't feeling supported because I was right over the other side of the world. So she basically pinpointed it.
Yeah.
The surgeons wanted to remove the disc, and I was thinking, well, there's no way you're going to touch my back and take a disc out. But so here's the thing. When I was with Linda, the hypnotherapist, she said, look, I've just come in to learn this new system. It's called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. She says, I'm only just learning it. So do you want me to try it on you? And I said, yeah, fine, do whatever you're going to do. Now, the important thing here, Sammy, in that session, the pain jumped from the right side to the left side of my body.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Now, I freaked out. I jumped out the chair and I went, holy moly! Freaking moved. And she goes, what have I done? What have I done? I said, you've just proved.
She was shitting herself as well.
Yeah. You just proved it's not structural. She goes, have I? I said, yes, because it's moved. I said, why would it move if it was this disc?
No, it couldn't. There's no way.
So I grabbed the piece of paper. I went flying home, or hobbling home. So getting home. And I tapped like a mad woman all day, every day for 5 days. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just tapping everywhere. But the important thing was, when I was tapping the meridians, I was expressing everything that was coming out. I was expressing.
It was actually working, because I've heard of tapping. How many of you have heard of tapping before? Is there anybody on this call now that has done it, or that has heard of it as well? Because I've heard of it, but I've never, and I've seen people doing it. Fiona Dilston, one of our Brand Builders Club members, she specialises. That's one of the things she specialises in. She trains other people how to do it, but I've never ever done it myself. So literally, you were doing it. How many times a day were you doing it?
I wasn't even doing it properly. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I was just literally tapping everything, anything and everything, literally all around my body, all around where it was hurting. And the thing with EFT is, the whole principle of it is, you tap on the meridians, and as you're tapping, you express what's coming up. Because if you look at the body as an energy being, which is the new way of understanding our body, or it's an electromagnetic entity, then if you've had any sort of like trauma or anything like that, it's held in the body. So you need to get that out, because that's what's hurting you, basically. I started tapping, and for 5 days I did this non-stop. As soon as I got up in the morning, I was tapping like a mad woman. I was expressing, I was crying, there was snot out my nose. For days I didn't sleep, because all I wanted to do was tap, and I was journaling like a mad woman.
I got addicted to tapping.
I know, I got addicted. But the point is, on the 5th day, I woke up I got out of bed and I walked up to, I had like a little vanity unit by the side of my bed, and I walked up to my vanity unit. I went, I've just walked up to the vanity unit.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm all right. And I had no pain. So that is EFT. That's the power of using a system which taps into the innate wisdom within your body and allows your body to, to heal itself. If you get the right environment, it's perfectly capable of healing. It's when we get all involved and try and do this, that, and the other, and give it chemicals and whatever, you're compromising.
So that emotional freedom technique, that's what it's to stand for, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it was created by Gary Craig. Now, he's not just some woo-woo sort of guy. I think he was, I think his credentials are as a NASA scientist or something. I mean, this is this isn't some sort of woo-woo person. He created this system, and this is one of the alternative systems that the NHS has approved. So people can ask for for EFT on the NHS depending on which you're in.
That's now interesting. And I love the fact that they are starting to recognize alternative therapies now. So there you are. So you've had this amazing breakthrough. Now, one of the things that I'd really, really like you to just get into a little bit, and yeah, Miriam says, wow. Yeah, wow. Is, because I kind of walked in at the point that you were delivering this on stage the other day, and you were talking about how far you need to go back to reach the point at which you have. So, for example, that lady that said to you, are you worried about finances and things like that? Or when did it start that you didn't feel supported, or whatever the questions were?
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of the time, if I've had an ache or a pain, somebody has said to me, Marion from PSA, she's a good one. Like, she'll say, all right, so what's that about then? And she takes you back to, when did it first start? But what I found most interesting was how you spoke about it's not where it starts, where it actually starts. And you have to go back so much further. So could you just describe that? Because I thought it was fascinating what you said about that.
Oh, was this the stages of disease that I went through?
Yeah.
So one of the things, so just to sort of put this in context, again, there was a doctor called Dr. Hammer, and he did a huge amount of research around trauma in the body, etc. And he came up with, he discovered that actually there's a stages of disease that we all go through. So when we get a shock, and it's obviously it's easier if it's a diagram, but I'll try and keep it simple, that whenever we're walking along our everyday and we get this trauma, right, something that we feel our life is in danger, that we haven't got the resources to deal with it, it's something so completely out the blue, right? So it could be anything. It could be, and the interesting thing, it could be something actual or perceived. So you perceive somebody threatening you, or it could be you have a car crash. So it's not always an actual reality. The important thing to note here is our perception of the event, which drives the stages of the disease in terms of what happens in those stages. But when we get traumatized, and we'll call it a C, so a significant emotional event, your body goes into the fight or flight, which most people will understand. You'll either freeze, fight, or flight. In actual fact, you temporarily freeze immediately anyway, right? So you do a fight flight. This is where your body is trying to get you out of harm's way, or it's trying to deal with the harm. And then your body will go into a stress phase. So it goes into what we call the sympathetic nervous system. This is your body saying, holy moly, we need to sort this out. We need to arm the body to respond to this threat. So what you'll typically find is, imagine you're trying to run away, and we use the whole scenario of a saber-toothed tiger because it's easier for people to realize. If you've got a tiger chasing you, you want to get out of there pretty damn quick. So it's not important for your body to be digesting any food in the stomach.
Yeah.
It needs to put all the energy to your limbs to get you out the way, right? So it shuts down a lot of the systems in your body because it doesn't need them. It doesn't need the energy. What's a really important thing to note, and this will be applicable to what's going on in the world at the moment, what's really important to understand, in this state, your body will basically, you've got your prefrontal cortex here, which is your rational, logical brain. This is the decision making, this is the thinking, etc., etc. It's the emotional part of the brain, right? You've got that, and at the back, you've got the reptilian brain. And the reptilian brain is the oldest part of our brain, and it's the brain that is designed to keep us safe. It's the brain that's constantly looking out to say, are we in danger? Is there a threat to our survival, right? In this sympathetic stage, your brain knows the most important thing for it to do is to get your reptilian brain engaged, not your prefrontal cortex. So it's going to shut that down. So that's why people who are massively under stress can't think properly. That logic doesn't come into anything because they're operating from their reptilian brain, and the reptilian brain is just there to say, stay calm, be safe, right? So when people are suffering from depression, they're operating from their reptilian brain for the majority of the time. So that's why people find it difficult to concentrate, that their memory goes, that they can't, making a decision is like, I used to say, when I was going through depression, to ask me to return a text was like asking me to climb Kilimanjaro. So difficult because I didn't have the access in my prefrontal cortex. So imagine what's going on in the world at the moment. What part of the brain do you think the majority of people are operating from?
Right.
Yeah, it's a survival mechanism. They're all operating from there. So we'll go on to that later. But so you're sympathetic. So your body operates in a different way. When you've got a resolution on that particular event, whether it's a scene, whether you see something that gives you the resolution or hear something that gives you the resolution, the fact is that you think, actually, that's not a big problem anymore. I'm over that. Or you've come to terms with something. If you've lost somebody, then your body then says, okay, let's go and rest and, let's regenerate you now, because all the damage that's been caused by us overworking your body, we need now to sort it out. So it goes into the parasympathetic nervous system. And then this is where you get things like flu, fevers, temperatures, runny noses, whatever. It's because your body now is saying, we need to sort you out. We need to balance you. So we need to sort of repair your body. And oftentimes what it will do, it will cause a fever to just knock you down so that you will stop so it can repair you.
Yeah.
Right? And then once you've resolved everything like this, a bit more complicated than this, but then essentially you come out all happy Larry and everything goes on, right? So what I was explaining at the conference the other day was the chart. If you saw the chart, the time frame of the sympathetic and the time frame of the parasympathetic, i.e. where you're stressed out and where you're recovering, is exactly the same in time frame. So if for example, I use the sore throat. If you've had a sore throat for 2 weeks and it's getting better, then what you can do, you can say, okay, now's now. Well, 2 weeks ago was when I started feeling this sore throat. So what happened 2 weeks before that? That typically caused me to think that I couldn't express myself or say what I wanted to say, or because that would be what would happen with your throat.
Yeah.
So then you've got an idea. You can say, okay, you can go back in time and say, okay, well, I know I've had this for 2 weeks. So 2 weeks prior to that, maybe a couple of days before, what happened? And you will find it. You'll find what caused it.
No, and so that can be like not just 2 weeks, that could be 6 months, or it could be a year. So it's the exact same amount of time since you noticed the symptom.
Well, it's when your symptom starts to get better, you can track it. There's certain ways of doing it, but essentially you can, if you've had a symptom for a year, but it started, the first thing I say to clients is, well, when did it start? And they'll say, oh, I don't know, say like 2010. I'm like, okay, so it started in 2010 and you've had it for 10 years. So what was happening 10 years prior? What was going on in your life 10 years prior? So you can start tracking back and start looking at what was going on. Because if you've had the symptom for 10 years, it has to have happened 10 years previous.
Wow.
There's again,
I mean, that's like Da Vinci for the brain, isn't it? Like when you take the body and all of its, you know, this is equal to this, which is, I mean, it's just fascinating and so perfect in its design that even pain is perfect in its design.
Totally. Pain is just, I mean, what I try to get people to understand is your body isn't doing anything without a very good reason. Now, you missed the start of the presentation where I went through, I just found it fascinating when you think, I did a bridge version. When you think about what has to happen in order to be conceived, I mean, the journey that the sperm have to take in order to fertilize the egg is phenomenal. It's like doing a tough mudder, right? If anybody's done a tough mudder, it's worse than a marathon. And these little sperm have got to get through all of these obstacles and everything being fought by the woman's blood count, you know, white blood cells, etc. The acidity in her uterus, the follicles in the fallopian tube, the blooming tsunami that's created by the fallopian tube trying to push the egg down. Then it's got to sort of almost face being electrocuted by the egg's electric fence. I mean, it's phenomenal.
It does sound like Tough Mudder.
It's incredible. So I sort of say, so why do you think then, the minute that we're born, that our body has no idea what it's doing? It's completely lost that intelligence that put together the body in the first place. And it's like, but because and it's no fault of anybody's, it's just the way things have evolved, that we operate from a medical model that is still based on a theory or on a hypothesis that was created 300 years ago. But quantum physics has come into play since Newton said that the body was a mechanical entity. You know, we now know through quantum physics that it doesn't work like that anymore. But the thing that hasn't changed is the medical textbooks. So the majority of the doctors are learning a system which is over 300 years old.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So how do we relate this? I mean, you know, like we're going through coronavirus now, and, you know, there's some people are really getting sick. Other people are dying. Other people are just experiencing a few symptoms. Other people aren't experiencing symptoms at all, but they're carrying it. You know, it seems like everybody has it, but there's so many different varying degrees. So does that suggest then that the people who are getting it the most are the ones that aren't physically vulnerable, but maybe emotionally vulnerable?
I think so. So most of the right, start again. I think it's a combination, right? Without getting into the big story, you know, the big discussion around thoughts creating reality and all this.
Big topic.
It's a big topic. There is a virus. We know there is a virus. Nobody's discounting that. But what happens, you see, what I think people, maybe don't understand about what the body is, the body will always be trying to keep you safe. It's always trying to keep you alive. If you've got a compromised immune system, and your immune system can be compromised through various things, but typically if you're not eating a healthy diet, if you're eating massive processed food which is full of chemicals and full of sugar, then that is going to compromise your immune system. Now, again, this could be another 4-hour conversation, but it has been proven categorically for so many scientists now that sugar and additives and chemicals which are put in our food are not supporting the body, full stop. They are compromising the immune system. So you've got a population who are not eating healthy food. You've got the majority of the people that are coming down with this virus, and I know there are exceptions to this, but you know, if you look at the news, the biggest majority of people are the elderly and the people who've already got compromised immune systems. Now, the elderly, and this is a sweeping statement, but most older people don't have the money to go and buy high quality, premium, organic food. Don't. If they're on a pittance, what are they choosing between? Putting heat on or food? And a lot of them are choosing to have a roof over their head and having some heating. Again, that's a whole political thing, and I'm not going to go down that road. But the point is, if you've got a compromised immune system and you've got a virus that comes into your body, your immune system cannot get rid of that virus.
Yeah.
And so it will run rampant in the body and create all this.
It's found a host. It's like, whoopee.
Exactly. Now, if you don't believe me on this subject, just think about this. When somebody is having a major organ transplant, the doctors will inject the immune system with chemicals to stop the immune system, to stop it basically doing its job, so that the body doesn't reject the organ by the immune system. And it will do that until the organ has been accepted by the body. So this immune system is so critical to whether you will get over this or not, whether you'll have severe symptoms or you'll just not even feel anything, right? Now, I'm not a doctor. I don't profess to be a doctor, but I just know about the immune system, but I don't know the intricacies of it. So I'm not professing to know that. But, if our immune system is the thing that's guarding out the virus, which is what the news and the media and everybody's telling us, then it's important, massively important, for people to build up their immune systems, to boost their immune systems, because that's the thing that's going to make the difference between whether you experience any symptoms or not.
Yeah. And it sounds to me like the way is not only obviously externally feeding our body with the things that we put into it, but it's also what we're feeding our mind with and releasing the stuff that our body is holding, because all we're doing by the sounds of it is giving any kind of disease or virus a brilliant host to be able to come and munch on and stick to and attach to anything that we're holding on to. So it's so give us a couple of case studies, because I found it really interesting, the stories you were sharing on stage, and I'd love other people to be able to access those stories. You shared a couple of stories about clients that you'd worked with where you shared, I think, was it the Ballerina? And I loved that story. So tell us about the Ballerina, because I mean, I think a lot of people watching this now and watching the replay who might have had aches and pains for a while. And what was brilliant was you did like a whole kind of activation in the room where you took everybody back to a time, and they were focusing on a pain in the room, and every single person in the room walked away from it when, wow, I know exactly where that came from. And it was so powerful. So tell us about, give us a couple of stories, because I think that it's really powerful to hear them.
Yeah, so one lady, she severe psoriasis, and psoriasis was all over her legs. Now, if you don't know what psoriasis is, it's like a really, it's almost like an eczema. It's more severe,
very painful,
and itchy, etc. And she had it all over her legs. And we got talking to her, and I said, because you've got to understand that the body will create symptoms in the area that it feels that it's being stressed, right? So I said to her, okay, so tell me about your legs. What do your legs mean to you? And she goes, well, I used to love my legs, because now she's covering up her legs because she's got really severe psoriasis. And I said, oh, so, and I said, did you always used to cover up your legs? She goes, no. She said, no, I used to, love them. And she was talking about her legs, etc. I said, oh, okay, so what happened then? What's happened in your life? And she couldn't pinpoint anything. So obviously talking to her, and I said, well, when did it all start? And she said, about 5 or 6. And I said, okay. I said, well, what happened?
She had this since she was 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
So as an adult, when somebody asks you that question, you're like, she must have thought, well, I've had it practically all my life. There can't be a time that she really remembers not having it.
Yeah, exactly. So, probing and sort of asking her, okay, but what happened around that time? Oh, I don't know. She couldn't make any connection. But then I sort of said to her, I said, so and I can't remember exactly what I said at the time, but the point was that she turned around and she said, "Oh, I used to do ballet." I went, "Really?" I said, "So what happened to your ballet?" And she goes, "Oh, I was told by my mum and dad to stop it because they couldn't afford to do it anymore, to pay for it anymore." I went, "Oh, okay." I said, "So ballet, legs, you couldn't do it." Oh, that was it. I said to her, "What was there anything taken away from you, you know, as a child or anything?" She said, "No, no, not really, not really." But then, of course, she said about this, and she just the look on her face when she suddenly worked out. Hold on,
Yeah,
I had ballet taken away from me. I've got psoriasis on my legs. Psoriasis in my legs. Legs were the things which I used to do ballet with, and I used to love it. But it wasn't the trauma wasn't so much having that taken away from her. It was when she went past the ballet hall one day. So when I took her back into her memories, it was when she walked past the ballet hall and she saw her friends making fun of her because she couldn't do ballet anymore.
Oh.
So trauma that she was now excluded, that she wasn't being seen as part of the group, etc., etc. That was another takeoff. You know, she had that taken away from her.
Yeah.
So, you know, when she started to realize that and then started to do all the work, the tapping, etc., and some other things I gave her to do, the psoriasis started to clear up. So, and then another situation, somebody who'd been in the RAF and who'd been massively traumatized by a particular event. And he was suffering from PTSD, depression, etc., etc., and really in a bad way. And his relationship with his wife was being compromised, and with his kids because of the flashbacks and insomnia and all this sort of stuff.
Well, naturally, it affects everything. I mean, Carl, who's on here now, like he also works with people with PTSD, and it affects your entire life when you have it.
Yeah, no, totally. It's all consuming. And we did a 2-day intensive where we just literally, you know, I felt that was going to be a much more powerful experience for him, because one of the things that he was experiencing was that he was being taken, you know, he was using another alternative therapy which the NHS was providing, but this particular person or the therapy, whatever it was leaving him high and dry, because it was like the woman was looking at her watch saying, right, okay, we've done the 60 minutes, right, see you later, see you next week. And he's like, you know, just being opened up and not properly. So on the back of that, I said, look, let's just do a 2-day intensive and let's just focus on this, and let's get what would you want to work on. I just want to be able to talk about some things without having a major reaction, you know, going into, you know, sweats and rock, you know, he was in a really bad way. Anyway, after 2 days of just understanding what was going on, talking to his body, getting him to talk to his body, getting him to understand where was all of this, where did it all originate, to release the energy and to release all that pressure, etc. After 2 days, he was able to talk about the event without, it was almost as though he was just talking about going shopping. And that was such a marked difference. Just 2 days. So that shows that you don't have to be in therapy for 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, it can happen quickly, but you have to know what to do. You know, you have to know where to go.
Yeah. I mean, they're both brilliant stories, and I'm sure you've got hundreds more. Louise, what would you say is
Sorry, I'll just agree with Carl. In therapy, the issue is never the issue. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, Carl's brilliant. You and Carl you should connect in some way. If a client presents with an issue, it's never the real issue, it's the show. The show is the body's reaction to the internalized issue.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier about, it's not necessarily the event, it's your perception of it. And this is a key, if I can give some people a tip for now.
Yeah.
This is a key thing to understand about what the madness that's going on in the world at the moment. If you can keep your perception to, you know, try and stay away from all the fear and all the mass load of stories and everything that are going around, and just be able to see things more logically about what really is going on, then that will help you to reduce the stress in your body. So, you know, stop turning on the news for 15 times a day. if you want, I mean, what I get is I get little news feeds, I get little snippets at the start of the morning, and I just read the snippets, and that's enough for me to know what's going on for the day. Don't get involved in it. If you're the type of person that gets highly agitated really quickly, don't talk to people about it because everybody's going to have their own opinion.
Right. They do say opinions are like arseholes. Everybody has one.
Exactly.
I'm just going to pop that as a banner. You know, so basically keep away from fear and see things logically about what's really going on. So you reduce the stress, and therefore you don't attract all of the negative stuff that's coming up. Simon says the issue is consciousness. Carl says any therapist keeping people in therapy for more than 12 sessions should be struck off.
I agree, because it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think
I would like to sort of talk about Simon's point about consciousness. We have got a massive opportunity at this moment in time to change our consciousness. And I'm not talking about that, you know, I'm talking about how do we want this to play out? You know, we sit there worried to death about everything that's going on, that we're being attacked by this out of control virus, then that is going to be producing cortisol in your body, and it's not going to be supporting you, A, to be thinking logically and rationally, or B, your immune system. So it's like, take a chill and start thinking about, okay, our consciousness is going to change this. Anybody who's been in the self-development world understands the consciousness. We've all got to change our consciousness to change what's going on. So it's like to, you know, somebody said to me the other day, and I thought it was brilliant. They're at home, and the 17 or 18-year-old daughter turned around to the mum and dad and said, every morning, let's get a board in the kitchen, and every morning write what we're grateful for. Every morning. And I just thought, what a brilliant way to pull the family together and start, you know, I'm like you, Sammy, you know, we've got beautiful places where we live. I know we're on lockdown. I'm grateful. I've got a beautiful home. I've got a beautiful place. I've got a beautiful dog. Okay, I can't go and do what I used to do, but that's not going to change me and my desire to see myself and my life as abundant. Doesn't matter what's going on around me.
Yeah. And, you know, as you say, I think the way that you feed your mind is incredibly important. I caught myself this morning. My alarm went off. And so I kind of, you know, because I go live at 8 a.m. in the Brown Builders Club every morning. And I was in some inspired action last night. So I worked through till about 2 o'clock last night. And that doesn't usually happen. But I was in flow last night. And I didn't even think about the earliness that I had to get up, and I need my sleep. So my alarm goes off, and it wouldn't go off. So I pick it up, of course, it's on my phone, and I look at my phone, and there's all these notifications without me even opening my phone. I'm looking at all this stuff about coronavirus. And even though it's people trying to do good, even though people are trying to support everybody else, and, you know, here are the facts about it, here's how to stop it happening, here's how to make sure you don't get it. Well, here's how to make sure you don't get it. The brain doesn't process negatives. It's basically what you're saying is, here's how to get it. So I've woken up with this whole screen of notifications. I'm like, fuck that. I'm turning all those notifications off. I don't want to look at that. You know, I don't want to have that be the first piece of conscious physical visual content that I'm confronted with. And I think right now it literally is like that. And, you know, social media can be a brilliant lifeline for people who are in social isolation, who aren't able to get out there and you know, physically connect with people in the way we've been able to before. But I think it's also enormously damaging that we keep talking about it. You know, it's like, let's just focus on now what we can do. You know, like, we need to live this way anyway. Surely we need to eat well. Surely we need to be nourishing our minds well anyway. Surely we need to be supporting each other on the biggest level anyway. Surely our communities should be, you know, getting together and collaborating. Surely we should be collaborating instead of competing. And as influencers and entrepreneurs, you know, we can change the world. You know, bigger companies can't move as fast as we can. We're nimble. we can have make a decision in the morning, and it can be done by the afternoon.
Yeah.
So why is it that, you know, it's pretty sad, really. We need something like this to make that happen and bring it to our awareness. But I don't know about you. You know, I'm already fed up with this C word.
It was funny, actually. I was talking to a neighbour the other day, and she said, "Well, Christ, if the CV doesn't get, I'll bloody kill them." She said, "I've had enough." So, yeah, I think it's all about keeping everything in moderation, and because when you know, again, it's going back to that reptilian brain and the prefrontal cortex. Where are you operating from? If you're operating from this whole like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you know, you need to calm down. You know, you need to chill out. You know, you need to put a comedy on and do some laughing. You know, you need to just, if you can, go outside and get some sunshine. Phone some friends, connect. I mean, it's so important at this point. You know, my thing I've been posting is stay healthy, stay positive, stay connected. You know, we might be socially isolated, but we don't have to, you know, stop talking to people. Get on the phone, get on Facebook, get on, you know, Messenger, WhatsApp, do whatever. Keep connected with your friends and your loved ones. But, you know,
positive ones. you can choose who you hang around and who you don't. Make sure they're positive ones as well. You know, that Greg, I think it was last night or the night before, he said, should we watch something inspirational? And I said, yeah, go on, inspire me. And he put on this documentary, and what was that called? Oh, he's not listening to me. He's got his earphones in.
Slingshot.
Oh, yes, he is. He's like, la, 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 la. Yeah, Slingshot. And it was about the guy who invented the Segway, who they say, like, you know, was on his Segway and went off the edge of a cliff, and he really hasn't, and he's changing the world and doing all these amazing things now. You know, it's like, inspire yourself, for fuck's sake. You know, we don't need to you know, pick up the newspaper. We don't need to be ignorant about it. You know, I'm not saying be ignorant. And this is, you know, outside of coronavirus. There are other things going on in the world. Of course, we need to know what's going on, but we don't need to get caught up in it. We don't need to put our attention on it. It's like, okay, I see you, I recognize you. Now, how can we do something? What can we do that enables us to keep control of where we're at and control our own environment?
Well, I think I absolutely agree with you there, Sammy. I think one of the things that really sort of keeps me grounded is I always remember Mother Teresa saying, "You will never find me at a end a war protest, but you will find me at a let's increase the love process or a love."
Yeah.
It is exactly that. It's where are we putting our focus? Are we focused on all the doom, gloom, coronavirus, etc.? Or are we focusing in the day of what we're being gifted with in this whole situation? I mean, I posted something, and I'm happy to sort of post this. I gave people on my group a whole list of things to be mindful of. You know, breathe. Do some breathing exercises.
Yeah.
You know, breathing is perfect for you at the moment because it engages the parasympathetic, which is going to keep you calm. You know, I said about listening to comedies, things like that. But, you know, take this as an opportunity to, you know, I'm taking this as an opportunity, let's put it this way, of catching up with all those online courses that I brought and never actually finished. I'm taking it as an opportunity to read. I mean, I've got a stack of books that I want to read. So I'm, you know, if I can't go out and see friends, I'll be reading my books. Yeah. You know, take this as an opportunity. When are we ever going to be given a situation where we put everything back in order? We're connecting with our families. You can put your house in order. Clear out all some of the rubbish that you've been hoarding for the last 15 years. You know, the dresses that you haven't worn for 4 years and the shoes that you've probably never get into. Use this as an opportunity. Take the positive out of this rather than looking at all the doom and gloom and feeding your brain with all the negativity that's going on. You know, if I go outside and I'm not allowed to go outside, somebody will soon tell me. I don't need to listen to the news to be told that.
So, Louise, out of all of this, right, I mean, because, you know, you're still building your business. You know, this isn't going to stop you from continuing to grow and expand your brand. But where has there been a time, because this is Confessions of a Global Changemaker after all, when has there been a time in your like business career as such where, and I asked this to Carl last night, and Carl was like, God, so many fuck ups. I mean, like, what's like the biggest fuck up you've made in business where you've just gone, oh my God, I will never, ever, ever do that again, or I will never allow that to happen again?
I think it's creating a product which really I hadn't sought from the market what they actually wanted. That actually I had this great idea, and because I thought, oh my God, this is what you know, we haven't even talked about the fact that I healed from depression as well.
Yeah.
So my focus is really around depression at the moment. And when I'd healed from depression, I thought, oh, I've got a answer, not the answer, because there's so many answers, but let's write a course on everything that I learned in my little journey of healing from depression. And I spent a freak load of money getting everything sorted, putting it on a platform, and then promoting it, and then getting out, and then nobody bought it. But what I didn't realize was that was my resolution of how I came to heal from depression. It wasn't necessarily what a depressed person would want. So I have, my biggest lesson is find out from your audience what they need in order to help them through their challenge, rather than what you think they need.
Yeah.
And I think if I'd have learned that, I'd have saved an awful lot of money and an awful lot of time and an actual lot. But I don't see it as a failure or anything like that, because now I've know that that's the most important thing. So will I do that again? No, I won't.
Yeah. And it's Simon says he's fallen into that trap. I think, at some point we've all fallen into that trap of making an assumption about what the client wants instead of giving them what they actually want. That's what we were doing at the weekend. We had our brand builders quarterly members weekend just gone, and we're doing the online version of it this Friday for all of our members around the world. And we focused on the 5 areas of research that you need to do to really get a solid case for what is it that people are actually searching for. And then we got everyone into little mastermind groups where they each worked on one business for 50 minutes to say, okay, well, hang on, you do that research, you do that research, you do that research. Because I also believe that when you're trying to do all your own research, you're only going to look at it from your own perspective. You need somebody else to support you with that research, because they're going to type something totally different in than you would, and because you're in your expert head mindset. So to have somebody else go and do that research for you is incredibly powerful. So for those of you that actually, who's going to be there on Friday? For those of you that are coming to join me on Friday, I think you're going to get a lot of value out of that, because you're going to have a whole team of people working to work out what product is it that you should launch first. And then how do you create that product? So there's actually that couldn't be better timed. And of course, there's so many people right now who are about to make that mistake, Louise, because they're all thinking, fuck, I've got to get my business online. Or, no matter how much I've been prodding people and telling them, come on, you need to develop the online side of your business. And I'll do that later. And now they're going, fuck, I wish I'd listened. Why didn't we, what do we need to do? And I think that, now is the time. Like, we need to get our arse in gear and get your business online. Or, I do actually believe that the world is shifting now to such an extent that, I would prefer to have all of my business online, and the consultation and the speaking and the physical face-to-face stuff being secondary income now instead of primary income. And I think what's happened now is really given us a warning of, actually, that's how the world is going. And you never know what could happen. I mean, you look at all of the bushfires that we've had floods, we've had droughts, we've had tsunamis, we've had earthquakes. you know, like, how are you, if that does happen, how are you going to still continue to run your business? And that, you know, nothing is ever certain, is it? But the only thing you can guarantee is that you've got clients all over the world that will still need what you provide, even if something happens in your own country. Yeah, Miriam, I'll send you the details about that.
But
So
yeah,
take Louise's lessons to heart there. You know, don't create something that people don't want. Do your research and get it right first time. It's so painful. I think you said you spent about a year developing that as well before you launched it. So it's a whole year of your life gone.
Yeah. But you know, interestingly, I've been able to repurpose a lot of that stuff, so it's not entirely wasted. But you know, it's not just for online courses as well. You know, I'm finishing off my book, and what was interesting, learning from that experience, because I'd started writing a book at the same time, but learning from that experience, I was like, well, actually, am I writing this book for me, or am I writing this book for my audience? And I was not prepared to give this book up how I was writing it, and I continued to write it how it was being written until last year. I got to the point of going, actually, this was it was almost like a cathartic exercise for me to express what I went through to heal from depression. But actually, that wasn't relevant for somebody else who doesn't know about all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, January the 1st, I just went, oh my God, I've got to write the book again. It's got to be changed completely. So all I've been doing for the last 2.5 months is writing my book, because I did some research from people who were struggling, you know, to find out what you need, and what I thought they would need is not what they need, not from the first contact.
Wow.
So my book's been completely rewritten, and then it's due to go to test readers in the next sort of 2-3 weeks. So,
how exciting! What's your book called, Louise?
There's quite a few names for it at the moment, so I haven't stuck to one yet. And actually, the test readers are going to be given the list of.
Okay, so it's top secret right now. Then
it's just because it's just at the moment I don't know which one.
Oh, well, good luck with that. I'm sure it's going to fly. How can people get in contact with you? What's the next step? How can they reach out to you? Are you even doing consultations? Like, how are you doing business now that you know, everything's kind of been flipped on its head?
Actually, thanks for asking, because what I would like to say is, ordinarily I did a coaching program, like a 3-month coaching program, because most people are coming to me with, you know, pretty embedded conditions. So it's not going to be healed in one session. But because of what's going on, and because of the area that I have a lot of, you know, affinity with, and there are going to be a lot of people struggling to make sense of what's going on at the moment. A lot of people are panicking and feeling already the impacts of what's going on, and are worried, and you're starting to show the symptoms of depression. Right. So what I'm saying to people now is, I'm happy to just get on the phone with somebody and do a 60-90 minute session to just help them to not to calm down, but to just talk through what's going on, how it's affecting them, because obviously how it's affecting them, it's going to be impacting their body. So the quicker they can talk about what's going on, talk about their concerns, talk about what they're fearful of, the easier it is to sort of move through this whole process. So people go to louisekshaw.com. That's my website, and my Facebook page is facebook.com My Body Whisperer, or you put The Body Whisperer in and it will come up to me. Those are really the two formats that I use at the moment. But one of the things which I will be putting on my website, I've just about finished it, is I've put together a guide which is called the 6 states of being through the process of grief, because I think it's really important when people understand that when you've had something taken away from you, or you have a loss. Now, most people are fearing the loss of their jobs, but everybody is experiencing a loss of a way of life.
Right.
Now, most people.
And some people are experiencing a loss of business.
a loss of business, a loss of
clients.
contact, a loss of what we perceive as our right as a human being. There's a loss going on where people probably won't make the connection between what's going on and why they're feeling what they're feeling. But it's a part of grieving. We're all going to be grieving. I mean, I posted today, you know, about I'm not, you know, immune to this. About 3 days ago, I had a meltdown because I just went, oh my God, we're losing everything that we perceived as our normal life. And, you know, as much as thankfully I have the tools to get through that really quickly. I don't feel impacted by that anymore, but I still had to go through that loss, you know, that impact of the loss and the grief. Now, most people don't know the process. So what I've done is I've changed this. This has been out for a while, but what I've done at the back end of it and altered quite a few things to sort of more geared to what's going on now is to share with people some ways to actually stay calm, to boost their immune system, to try and sort of keep themselves from being in fear. So
Self-care.
Yeah, self-care. So that's going to be available on my website. I'm going to post it on my Facebook page. I'll give a copy, you know, I'll give a link to you as well.
Amazing. Yeah, please do. I'll get that out to everybody.
And then, you know, we'll take it from there. If people want, if they just don't have somebody around them that can just listen from a very impartial point of view, and, you know, that's what I'm doing now. I'm changing the program. You know, if people want to just do it 60-minute to just get on the phone and just express, you know, that's what they can do.
Just get it out.
Just get it out. Because I think it's really, really, really important.
That's amazing.
People have to express.
Wow, what a powerful session. I never know where it's going to go. People always say to me, well, what do you want to interview me about? I'm like, well, we'll just find out. Whatever is meant to come out that's what's going to happen. And what an amazing, I mean, gosh, the amount of information that's actually come out of today's session. Louise, you are such an expert and you are such a spirit and a heart in your industry for what you do. And you're a leading light, you're a guiding light for millions of people who are waiting for you. So I can't wait for you to get your book out there. I can't wait for you to get your programs out there. And you've got some big thank yous and some, oh, hello, some big amazing stuff that is on its way to you. And by you getting it out there now, I think there's no better time. People are needing this information. People need us all as leaders to stand up, because whenever we're not leading, we're not the only people that are losing. There are people out there that are losing right now because they don't know that you exist. So let's all support Louise and get her out there as much as we can. As soon as you've got that book or that ebook, Louise, please send us the link to it. Who else on here will support to get that book out to as many people as they can? I'm sure that you've got a lot of people on here and on the replay that will support you, Louise. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, Sammy. It's always good to do work with you.
Yes, and we've just got to keep being those one drops.
One drops.
Look at that shining on you. You shine so much and it's shining on you.
It's come from a shiny being, that's why. You.
Yeah, we're getting the shine out. Yeah, whatever way we have to do it, we're creating that ripple by hook or by crook. Oh, Carl said that he'll share it for you. Thank you, Carl. Miriam, thank you so much. I'll be in touch. I see that you've messaged me as well, so I'll jump on and message you back. Thank you, guys and girls, for joining us live today. And yeah, definitely connect with Louise. I think you know, she's amazing. And if you've got a podcast or a stage that is looking for somebody to come and really get the audience in connection with themselves, then let's do what we can to heal each other, because that will heal the planet. All right, my darlings, well, take care. Have an amazing evening. For those of you that are joining me at 7 p.m. For the 12-week planning and strategy session, I'll be going live at 7 p.m. I'm going to put the Zoom link out in the Brand Builders Club Facebook group shortly. And who have we got? We have Sharon Gaskin tomorrow. Sharon has an amazing company called Trainer Talks. So if you are a trainer, a consultant, somebody who makes your money through delivering training, running workshops, and building your business through the essence of your communication, imparting that onto other people, come and join us tomorrow live at 5 p.m. GMT, as we did today in this same place that you found us on today. And I'm going to be interviewing Sharon and getting down and dirty into how she's built an amazing network all across the UK. She's got leadership teams, she's got all kinds of stuff. We've actually got a very similar business model, which is fascinating. Only she's built hers all across the UK. I built mine globally, so I don't have as much in the UK as she has. It's fascinating how we're kind of looking at, wow, how can we collaborate? What can we be doing more together? So come back and hear from Sharon tomorrow. She'll be sharing some of the ups and downs of building a big network and having teams, building teams underneath you. So we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Louise, thank you once again from the bottom of my heart to yours. Thank you for showing up and shining for us today. And I'll look forward to having you on the show again and doing some more stuff together very soon.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care. See you later.
Stay safe, stay connected.
Stay safe. Yes. Thank you.